Ray.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. We are back after a one-week hiatus. As always, I am Ray Carsillo in already 90 degrees out California. Doing my best for the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Elias Lee, how are you doing today?
Springtime for Philly and Pennsylvania. It's from a musical, if you know what I'm doing. The alternate lyrics are not good. Ray, I'm doing well because I needed a break. Naturally, I would take a week off to go coach at a highly publicized event with, high-level hockey players in which gold medals are on the line to relax.
Yes.
And I did. I'm coming back quite relaxed.
Nice. How'd that go for you, by the way?
I'm not normal, Ray. I'm not normal. I'm not a normal person to do.
We know that. We know that.
Thank you. It went really well. Our men won gold, our women won silver. Both got to the gold medal game. It really did Puerto Rico proud. I was told actually not too long ago, a few hours ago, that the governor of Puerto Rico gave like a proclamation today for the teams on the island. It's been all over the news down there.
Wow.
It's really cool. A kid sent us, a kid that I know, created Puerto Rico Boricuas in NHL 25, sent that to the team. So the events are great and they're special when you're there, but when you really start to see the echoes and the reverberations of how this spreads afterwards, you're really impacting a whole people. It's pretty cool. So again, that's how I choose to relax, not a beach on who'd want to do that. Right. But I'm back. I'm glad we're back because it's like, a week off. It takes you out of the cadence, takes you out of rhythm.
Yes.
You got to get back to the show.
Yes,
show must go on.
The show must go on, and we must get back into a rhythm for sure. Not a lot of geek stuff going on, although that will change in the next couple of weeks. We're expecting a lot of stuff from both Microsoft and Nintendo. Announcements upon the horizon. Stay tuned for those. But as of right now, it's mostly been a big sports couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick things off with baseball.
Yeah.
So it is baseball season. Opening
it's
day
coming.
is
it's almost there.
48 hours away from opening day. And of course,
the true opening day, the
true opening day. I was just about to say the other opening day that took place, of course, in the Tokyo series. The Cubs and Dodgers played a pair of games over in Tokyo, which, of course, we've talked about on the show about how great it is that they're trying to grow the game internationally, and of course, all the partnerships with Pokemon and Demon Slayer and things of that nature.
They did a great job. Yeah, it was really exciting.
Phenomenal job. I love the Tokyo Dome does such a phenomenal presentation for baseball. The amazing video game like replays they had, and then of course the Dodgers then destroyed the Cubs in both games, and they're now 2-0 to no one's surprise. But no, just overall a fantastic event for baseball. But we are looking forward to the real opening day. Lee, first of all, what are your thoughts on the Tokyo series, and then what are your thoughts on opening day? How do you think your Phillies are going to do this year?
Yeah, well, the Tokyo series, first off, was great. I mean, just beautifully done. There's nothing negative about it. It was very positive. I think everybody could come together around it. The Pokemon Open was really special. I mean, they know their audience. So great job by Tokyo, really celebrating the game of baseball. And I'm all for anything making the game more worldly. Phillies, buddy, I'm very excited for this season. The thing that excites me is that, we were at a kind of a crossroads at the end of last season of do we keep people, do we send people away? And our GM has decided that we're going to give these guys one more chance. Very few lineup changes. They're a very good team. Most of the guys like Schwarber, a lot of guys in contract years. So this is the last dance for that team. And I think they know that. And I think that's a pretty powerful motivator. I think they're going to do quite well. I mean, obviously the Braves are always there. And now the Mets are this kind of wild card, in my opinion. Mets fans will say, "Oh, we're ready. We're going to win the division." Calm down. Settle down, guys. Until I see that, if your one-player solution doesn't typically work. So, and I know you've got other players, but you're just being such Mets fans about this. So I like the Phillies' chances. They're back to being underdogs. That's exactly where they thrive.
Yeah. No, exactly. I think your Phillies are in a good spot. I mean, I think it's a two-team race still in the National League East. Because the Mets don't have any pitching. I think it's the Braves.
Isn't that funny how that was important?
What a concept!
We've got
right. It's why we look at everybody ragging on the Yankees. Oh, you lost Garrett Cole, but that's why we had signed a whole other ace in the offseason called named Max Fried. Now, obviously, look, injuries could happen. Injuries have happened.
That's a huge hit for the Yankees, but you're right. Yes. You have other pitchers,
right?
And Atlanta was so hurt last year. So, look, in the Mets, unless you win 10-9 every game. All right. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We will see.
Again, that Soto signing was not for this year. This is where I think fans get, oh, we're going to win right away. Like, no, that's a 10-year window now. Okay.
Yes.
You got to build that team back up. All right.
100%.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, you let one of your best pitchers go to the Athletics of all teams. You let another one of your good pitchers, I think Quintana went to the Brewers, I believe. And then you only brought back one of the pitchers you had last year. You're hoping for some untested guys. You're trying to convert a reliever into a starter. And look, maybe all these experiments work, Met fans. Maybe they do. It's possible. But, boy, you have some really overinflated expectations, thinking if everything goes right, we'll win it all. And that's basically every team in baseball except for maybe the White Sox and the Athletics. So.
Yeah. At least the White Sox are doing stuff. I don't know if you saw they brought that the baseball back to the field or something, back to the stadium. Apparently there's a cursed baseball. Yeah. And the guy who owns it brought it back to the stadium to try and remove the curse.
Yes, and what happened? You know what happened immediately after? 5 of their pitchers need Tommy John surgery now. That is a fact. The White Sox lost 5 of their pitchers and an outfielder to Tommy John for the entire year, so they are already depleted a quarter of what was going to be their opening day roster. So maybe next year, White Sox fans, just keep on working towards. Actually, the White Sox do have a lot of good scratching. Yeah, they have a lot of good pitching prospects, but them too. They're probably several years away from even being competitive, but we'll see. Speaking of baseball, also the Tampa Bay Rays, who are going to be playing at George Steinbrenner Field this year because the hurricane destroyed the Trop, of course, in the offseason, which, of course, was terrible to see, of course, even though that stadium was a dump. And actually, Mother Nature did us a favor. But now, of course, the terrible ownership group down there, Lee, is kind of all over the place. They don't know if they're going to stay in Tampa. They're saying they don't want a new stadium now. Maybe they'll just renovate the old stadium.
I'll be honest with you, Ray. I think they should move. It's not like Tampa Bay has been bringing in a lot of fans unless they're in the World Series. I mean,
no.
There's plenty of other cities. I mean, what would be funny is if this gets on Vegas's radar and then they fight with them in the A's.
Fight with Athletics. There's also been talk about Nashville has been pushing very hard to get
Nashville
a baseball
deserves baseball.
100%.
And to be fair, the Rays are the perfect team to move there. I mean, that's cost-wise and everything. So,
but there's also been rumors about staying in state. There's now an ownership group. I think led by former Cincinnati Red Barry Larkin, if I remember that correctly, that they want to move him to Orlando, right across the state.
Yeah, I mean, look, you got to get out of Tampa. I mean, first off, Tampa is a hockey city now, number one.
Yes.
All right. First and
hockey, it's hockey football.
And
it's hockey football.
Yeah, I'm not going to take away from the Bucks, but it hasn't worked. Baseball hasn't worked there. You get the Marlins; it's not working there either. Yeah. I think Tennessee deserves a team. I think Tennessee's a great state, and and Nashville is a great city, and I think they would embrace that 100%.
Yeah, I think that there are plenty of other cities out there. It might be time to move baseball out of Florida, right? You've got Charlotte, you've got Nashville, you've got Portland, you've got several cities that would love. I mean, who knows? Maybe even Salt Lake now with now that they have, Utah obviously has hockey to go along with basketball. There are more viable options, and it is obvious that Florida does not want to support baseball for either. I mean, to be fair, the ownership groups for both Tampa and Miami are awful. And honestly, if Rob Manfred had any kind of a spine, he would push the other owners to push them to sell because both ownership groups in the Florida teams are just awful. But
no, it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. That's the other thing too. I mean, they're hanging on to the Marlins World Series from how long ago?
In 2003. Yeah,
that's a minute ago.
Yeah, it's been a while, and they haven't really been competitive since. Right? They thought they did what they did. They blew it up in 97. 6 years later, they were competitive again. They thought that was going to work again, and it hasn't. It hasn't. And the game changed, and unfortunately, a lot of team strategies hasn't. To be fair, same problem with the Yankees. Yankee strategy needs to change too, in my opinion. I mean, but
not evolving, you're dying.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Rays are dying. So, one more fun baseball story, Lee. We're going to cut to a few minutes ago. Lee's live reaction as we were watching, because I wanted to make sure. I'm like, Lee, have you seen the Chesapeake Bay Sox alternate logo? This is building on something that's been going around in AA ball for a while now. We talked about when the Somerset Patriots became the Jersey Diners, which of course was very fun. And the Chesapeake Bay Sox were like, we're going to call ourselves the Oyster Catchers on certain nights of the season. And I guess we can cut to a graphic I mean, can we use this graphic? I don't even know if we can use this graphic, but
Sure, we can. It's a podcast.
it is for the video version, the Chesapeake Bay Sox, the oyster catchers. It doesn't look like and it doesn't look like an oyster.
Watch this. Oh God. Listen to this. Listen to this article title.
Yep.
Chesapeake Bay Sox alternate logo leads to powerful climax.
Yep.
Right, that's a clitoris.
That is a mighty big clitoris, and that is a vagina.
I'm gonna say it.
And everybody's saying that that's not a that's a vagina.
That's what it is.
Yep.
Nobody's how would they know? No one's gonna know. Yeah, how would they know? How would they know?
How would they know? Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Hey, good on them. All right. You want to get some attention? That's how you do it.
Yes. Very unintentionally. And I will say that they have made the best out of a bad situation. They are now saying that a portion of proceeds from every game where they are the oyster catchers will actually go to cervical cancer research.
Okay, so they do know what they're doing. That's very
so. Well, I don't think they knew what they were doing at first, but I think they figured it out when they were like, "Oh, the internet had a field day with this because nobody
expects the Chesapeake Bay.
Nobody expects the Chesapeake Bay. It went horribly wrong.
It went horribly right. What are you talking about? That's exactly what you would want if you're a mind. Like, you know, people are gonna need that jersey. What'd you do? Let's put a clam in a glove.
Yes,
Daddy,
with a giant baseball positioned at the top of the clam.
It's perfect. It's perfectly done.
Oh,
minor league baseball.
Minor league baseball
in America.
I just hope they didn't get a new mascot uniform for that giant clam just walking around the baseball field.
We can call it Jeremy the Clam. That's his nickname.
There we go.
The Clam.
The Clam. Clap for the Clam.
Snap for the Clam. We're gonna get in trouble if we keep on.
We are. Yeah, we gotta steer clear of anything else. But baseball season is 48 hours away. We'll talk about opening day next week, for sure. In the past tense. Speaking of the past tense, big weekend for college basketball. March Madness is upon us. The Sweet 16.
I was in Vegas for the start of it.
Oh yeah, it's not as many upsets as in years past. The biggest one being Arkansas over St. John's, which of course was very heartbreaking for much of the New York area, of course, as they thought St. John's was going to make a run at least to maybe the Final Four.
50% of brackets went out on that one alone.
Yes,
it's amazing.
Yes, I don't think. To be fair, a lot of brackets got busted in the first round. There were a lot of
as they usually do, right?
Yes. Yeah, there were a lot of
ChatGPT doesn't know everything, guys.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Arkansas. Look, Arkansas, they're 10 seed, and good on them. They're now all the way into the Sweet 16. They're the only double-digit.
There's always one. There's always
remaining.
One, right?
Yes,
you and I will remember that great run. And this is like 20 years ago now, but with George Mason, when they went to the Final Four. So it can happen. It can happen.
No, for sure. A couple of 6 seeds remaining. Ole Miss and BYU, but yeah, the big one is going to be Texas Tech versus Arkansas.
Well, and I think, Ray, that you're going to see more and more as time goes on, especially with March Madness, that the higher seed teams in the NIL era are going to win more and more and more, just because they're being paid more, they're getting better athletes. I mean, this is not the same March Madness as it has been in the past. Yeah. So it's not surprising to me that the top seeds are doing better than some of the lower seeds. Adversely to college football, where it just made everybody better in the top 20. This one's a little bit different because basketball is a much different sport. But I think you're going to see that. You're going to start seeing teams buy their way to the Final Four.
Oh, 100%. I agree with that. And I think you're going to see the idea of the Cinderella story is going to become much more rare, where it seemed to be an annual occurrence where you had that one team or maybe even 2 teams that kind of found a way to the deeper rounds in the playoffs. And yeah, I think that is now going to be absolutely obliterated. I mean, you're already starting to see that where you had the Midwest, the top 4 teams made it, right? I mean, aside from the upset with Arkansas, and again, you had the 2 6 seeds, basically the Sweet 16, 3 of the 16 teams are underdogs, basically. Right. That is not a lot, especially compared to years past. And I feel like the bracket and the tournament. This is the least interested I've been in the March Madness tournament, I think, in my life.
Yeah, look, March Madness, once it gets to like the Elite Eight, I get more interested because but that's the competitor in me. Like I'm not a betting type. When it's in the round of 64, I'm not the guy who watches every game. I like the storyline. So when you get to the Elite Eight, you start seeing some pretty cool storylines. I mean, you could say in the Sweet 16 that you have that too, but when you get down to the 8 teams, it's now it gets kind of fun. And I mean, speaking that out loud, it's also pretty much a normal playoff season, right? Like you get down to your final bit there. So yeah, I don't know. I've been more attached to college basketball in the past. I haven't this year. I think that's just because my life is a little bit busy. Especially when I'm busy coaching, I'm not focused on college basketball. But yeah, I'm also seeing a lot more coverage of women's college basketball right now, which I like seeing as well.
Yes, that is true. You are starting to see the ladies. To be fair, traditionally there are even less upsets in the women's bracket. And I think that is holding true again this year.
Yep.
But you are starting to see a lot more coverage for the ladies, which is great. Obviously, not piggybacking off of, but like obviously the Caitlin Clark effect is still obviously
massive.
Full effect.
Yeah. Well, it's not even in effect. It's like that's building. Like that's reverberating, for a word from our past, where now it's becoming an organic growth. Other athletes, other female athletes are starting to rise up now to positions of let's watch this. I mean, in hockey, Ray, I can tell you like the PWHL is so alive.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name. Somebody pulled off a Michigan the other day in the PWHL. I mean, it's well beyond Caitlin Clark now. Not to mention, she's only going to get better if we're talking about Caitlin Clark. So I think there's people out there with Caitlin Clark that are like, well, it's come and gone. I'm like, dude, this is just starting. Like that. I mean, she is a modern day Jordan, for lack of a better word. All right. Now it's like, here's the cool part about Caitlin Clark, right? I think the wow of it is gone, but now it's like legit sports talk. Can she win a WNBA championship?
Yeah.
Can she make Team USA? She should have been on Team USA.
She should have been on Team USA.
Can she, get over the hump? And like, that's real sports talk. It's not like, oh, this woman is changing the landscape. It's like, no, can she win a championship? That's exactly the talk you hear about men's sports. So like the conversation is even evolving, which I love.
Yes.
All right.
No, 100%.
And now my interest in women's sports has always been there, but now it's been tripled with my new coaching appointment. So I'm enjoying every second of that. By the way, the hockey players that I get to coach, it is such an honor, and I love every second of it. That's for another podcast.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. No, we can get more into that another time, but again, congrats, buddy, on your appointment.
Thank you, man. Like it really is an honor. It's really cool. Yeah. Anyway, March Madness.
Madness.
Not so maddening this year.
No. So we go from the college game to the pro game, the NBA.
We don't talk about NHL. We can skip over the NHL.
We will get to NHL
I
don't
want to talk about the NHL. I don't want my team.
My team's not doing great in hockey.
All right, NBA Sixers still crap.
Yeah, the Sixers on the verge of being eliminated from playoff contention.
Disgusting today.
Yeah, to be fair, there's a dozen games left in the NBA season. We will get to NHL briefly, shortly after this. But you're starting to see teams starting to clinch. The Thunder, with 12 games to go, have already clinched the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. They are just absolutely rolling. Obviously, to be fair, some other teams got off to slow starts and whatnot, but you are starting to see the cream of the crop rise to the top. The Golden State Warriors, we talked about this when it happened. The Jimmy Butler effect is in full effect. The Warriors now they are currently holding the 6th seed. They have been on a tear lately, and they are trying to hold off the Clippers from not having to deal with the play-in game garbage, because that still, to me, shouldn't be a thing. I hate that 10 teams make the playoffs in the NBA now.
Right.
But sorry, call me an old man. I think that 7 through 10 stuff is just dumb. But the Cavaliers have won their division. The Celtics have clinched a playoff berth. The Knicks a couple of wins away from also clinching a playoff berth. They would probably be the next. They are 18 games over 500 after beating, I believe it was the Wizards the other night. And you're just starting to see, again, the Pistons have quickly turned things around. Right now they're holding onto the 6th seed. So it'd be Knicks versus Detroit in the first round, which would be a classic matchup. Of course, I would fade for the Knicks. But yeah, again, the NBA, not a lot of surprises here. The big trades did what they were supposed to do. The Lakers and Warriors got better. The Mavericks, after their trade and also a bunch of injuries, are now on the outside looking in and likely going to miss the playoffs in the West. And the East is the usual suspects. Everybody we kind of suspected. The Heat have gotten much worse since trading Jimmy Butler, but they're desperately holding on to that 10 seed, but will likely go nowhere, even if they should make the play-in round. Lee, any thoughts on the home stretch here for the NBA season?
No, I mean, buddy, it's so hard to predict the NBA with 10 teams, but it's going to be the usual suspects. You and I both know that.
Yep.
So, no, I don't have too many thoughts on the NBA season. Other than what you said, the leaders are leading, and it'll have to play out the way it plays out.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm being honest with you. Sorry, I just don't have much to say on that one.
No, it's the J. I don't blame you. Again, I mean, I kind of summed it up in the summary where it's kind of just like, yeah, this is the situation, and
yeah,
I don't see much else. I don't see much else happening. Again, to your point, the point that with this many teams making the playoffs. And also, I mean, when 2/3 of the league makes the playoffs.
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. I don't think it's a good idea.
No. I still think it's a problem. I still think they should just go back to the way it was, where it was eight teams per conference. And if you don't make it in,
I just think it's a bad deal otherwise.
Yeah. So moving over, speaking of standings and playoffs, we go now to the NHL. We'll start in the West because the West is pretty almost clear cut and dry. The Blues and we always say this, a big winning streak at the right time can propel you into the playoffs or beyond. The Blues on a 6-game winning streak now have a 3-point lead on the Canucks, who lost a bad game to the Rangers the other night. A game they should not have lost. But I'm glad they did because it keeps our slim hopes alive. But yeah, the Blues now really kind of working on with about 10 games to go for most teams, 10 to 12 games to go for most NHL teams. The Blues looking like they're going to try to wrap up that second wild card in the West. And then again, you're gonna kind of have a lock in where it's going to be the Jets at the top, and then the Stars and the Avalanche. And then you're going to have the Golden Knights, the Kings, and the Oilers. Kings and Oilers just fighting to see who will have home ice advantage in their first-round matchup. And then right now, it looks like the Wild and Blues. Not to say that the Flames, the hockey club, the Flames or Canucks can't also maybe go on a run and catch the Blues, but they're running out of time fast, Lee.
Yeah, well, and that's what this time of year is all about. I mean, like the last 10 games of the season, dude, are so important. I mean, you can go up, you can go down, as we're finding out in the East right now as it starts to spread out a little bit. But yeah, look, when you look to the West, I mean, again, it's the playoff teams are not as spread out, but the teams that are going to be in are all very good. You can never predict the winner in hockey. You just can't do it like you do in basketball, even baseball, for that matter. So I like the teams in the West. I like the teams that are getting in. That should actually be a really good playoff to watch as the Western Conference.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, right? Like if the playoffs started now, I can't. I mean, look on paper, yes, the Jets should beat the Blues,
but you don't know.
But you don't know. Yeah. The Blues could absolutely beat the Jets.
Well, again, the way Binnington played in the Four Nations face-off, if he decides to show up like that,
yeah,
who knows what's going to happen.
I mean, really. and Hellebuck and the Jets have a history of choking in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and not to mention, it's not like the Colorado Avalanche and the Edmonton Oilers or the Golden Knights are going to roll over here. I mean, these are teams that are hungry. You think Edmonton's quietly just doing well this year? You think they're not ready to go back?
Yeah,
you just don't know.
They got off to a slow start. What was it, like 0-4 when they?
Yeah, it wasn't crazy, but it wasn't like last year. But it's like they're humming in, and like you said, look, your wild card teams, Minnesota and St. Louis. I'd say maybe, but like the 6 teams above that are just dying. I mean, they're good.
Yeah,
I mean they're really good.
They're all going to beat up on each other and possibly make themselves susceptible to the Eastern Conference, which,
right.
By the way,
how about the reemergence of the Kings? Kind of not out of nowhere, but they've just kind of quietly built that team back up. I mean, that's pretty cool to see when you think about it, and it's great for the West because, like that Golden Knights Edmonton Kings rivalry is awesome.
Yes,
and it's kind of replaced that San Jose and Anaheim, but it's really kind of cool. I mean, I like that Pacific Division a lot.
Yeah, no, it is fun to watch. By the way, the Sharks' first team eliminated, the Blackhawks' second team eliminated from playoff contention. So,
Boo, boo,
um,
boo.
yeah, what is that? I think it was
Do,
Patrick
do, do,
Maroon
do,
was
do. Whoa.
consoling Connor Bedard the other day. He is. We've
They
talked
better
about it
figure it
before.
out. We got a
Yeah,
lot of heat from social media. You guys are crazy thinking Bedard's going to leave. Bedard, I'm like, yeah, all right, guys. Like, I hope
he
he doesn't.
looks
He
he
looks
looks
pissed.
miserable there.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he looks miserable. The fact that that Maroon clip went viral
right.
says everything you need to know
Well, I'm going
about
to say it
him.
too. They're going to have
Yeah.
to offer him the greatest contract in history for him to stay there. Because if I'm him, I'm not going to be too loyal to that team. I'm not going to
No,
lie.
I wouldn't either. Like,
Yeah. It doesn't mean he
it
won't do it. I'm just saying that, like, man, they're going to have to figure that out.
yeah, no, absolutely. Moving over to the East, we have our first team to clinch a playoff berth. The Washington Capitals have clinched a
Yep.
berth.
Having an unbelievable season all around.
Yes, right. Chasing Ovechkin, who I believe is 7 goals away now, Lee.
Yeah, he's right there. The best part of Ovechkin is this guy's the peak of humanity in hockey goal scoring. And yesterday, we watched him get on a plane with a Subway sandwich and hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. This guy's just built differently.
Yeah.
Keeping in mind, I was to remind people, both his parents were Olympians. So
Yeah.
this guy was bred from greatness.
Yeah, no, for sure. But the East much more tight knit than the West, chasing that last playoff
Starting to
spot.
spread out, though. It is starting to spread out now.
A little bit. The Senators are starting to pull away, and looks like they're going to get that first wild card. I don't think they'll catch Tampa Bay. They're 6 points behind them, but that first wild card, they now have a 4-point lead over Montreal and a 5-point lead over the Rangers and Islanders, who are the closest teams, are the teams outside looking in. Rangers have struggled. This was a bad time. They blew some games they should have won. A couple of 2-1 losses, a couple of 1-goal losses. Toronto, Calgary, teams that losing to Toronto is not bad, but they should have beat Calgary. And right now, Rangers on the outside looking in, 3-5-2 in their last 10, and Montreal, out of all teams, has found a way with a -18 goal differential to sneak into that second wild card spot, at least for the time being, mostly because
Just for the moment. I'm still pretty hopeful for the Rangers, Ray, for a lot of different reasons. Now, again, we're in the final, 10 to 12 games here for teams. Yeah. And this is what I'm looking at is that, and this is also the problem, is that I'm looking right now, wild card 1 through 6, and that's Ottawa, Montreal, New York, Columbus, Detroit.
Yeah.
Every one of those teams, every single one of them has gotten a point in their last game. Mm-hmm. So the problem is not so much how close the standings are. It's that everyone kind of above that line is winning.
Yeah.
So it's really, people, if you go on a streak, well, if everyone's getting points, that's a problem. Now, the stat that does stand out to me is that New York has the best differential amongst actually all those teams except Ottawa with actually a 0. So they've scored as many goals as they let up. Yeah. If that continues, depending on the schedule, it should be in their favor from a goaltending standpoint. Okay. Right. Now, this is a super tight race. Unfortunately, the Rangers have one game played more than everybody else.
Yeah.
But we will see. I mean, like, a lot of this is just going to come down to the schedule. Like I said, I can tell you right now, Boston, Pittsburgh, Philly, Buffalo, out. After the trade deadline, completely out.
Yeah.
Detroit's kind of holding on for dear life, but they're in the race. And again, Columbus, New York, and the Islanders are really just 1-2 points out of that spot. Yeah. So this is going to come down to the last few games. And then the head-to-head games against each other is everything now.
Yes, which the Rangers fortunately do have a lot of those tiebreakers, especially between Columbus and the Islanders and the Red Wings. But the Rangers now on a very tough road trip. They're on the West Coast. They take on the Kings tonight, who we just mentioned. Very good team. Not to say the Rangers can't beat them, but if the Rangers play to the top of their game, if Shesterkin's on his game, then yes, the Rangers can obviously get the points that they need to get.
You have to earn your way in, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Right. If you can't earn your way in, you don't deserve to be there.
Yeah. The crazy thing is the funny thing is the Rangers have actually been better on the road this year than at Madison Square Garden, which is very unusual for them and any team in general, but particularly for the Rangers.
Right.
And I don't know why that is, but it's going to be interesting to see down the stretch. Again, Rangers, like you said, Rangers have played more games than everybody else, a point back of Montreal. But depending on who they play and how they play down the stretch, What was it? Detroit was in that spot, and then they lost 6 in a row.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah, and that's why they slipped from the top from that second wild card, now down behind 4 other teams for it with 72 points. Not to say they can't get, like you said, they did win their last game, so it's not like they can't turn it around. But much like with the Blues winning 6 in a row, a streak like that can really catapult you one way.
You have to be hot right now. It's that simple. You cannot cool off at this time of the season. The team that gets hot and goes 8-2 is going to probably be in the playoffs. All right.
Yeah. So we will see what happens. But it looks like the Senators are starting to rise up and probably going to take that number 1 wild card seed that they would take on the Panthers in the first round. And that would be interesting. So
yeah. Well, and again, it's also going to come down to good goaltending. And it's funny because after the trade deadline, my Flyers have just completely tanked horribly. To be expected, we traded a good chunk of our offense away. But if there was any question of rebuild, this is what I'm excited about. We have 6 first-round picks over the next 2 years.
That's a lot.
6.
That's a lot. You can turn your franchise around real quick.
Very quickly. And if they don't, that's going to be tough. But I'll tell you the one thing, too, that actually Tortorella said this yesterday, that, the biggest hit this team has taken was Carter Hart not being part of the team anymore for lots of different reasons.
Right.
But he came out and said the other day, if Carter Hart doesn't happen last year, we're in the playoffs.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Our goaltending, he's like, I love our goalies, but they're just not. We don't have strong goaltending.
No, Carter Hart was a talent that made a terrible decision one day in his life. And
and amongst other men with him. So,
yes,
I mean, it's just it's a shame. But like the Flyers, again, when you have 6, that's a lot. 6 first-round picks in 3 years.
Yep.
I said 2 years. I meant 3 years. Excuse me.
Yeah. But still, if half of those hit,
if 2 of them hit, I mean, and not to mention, it's not like we don't have nothing in the pipeline. So,
right.
Michkov was the story of this season for the Flyers. You have a certified superstar in your lineup. Now you build around him, get a goalie, and for Pete's sake, would you please win the Stanley Cup just once in my life? I waited 27 years for my first championship. I'm in my 40s now. Like, I'm that guy. I'm that guy. I'm the middle-aged sports fan whose team has never won anything. I'm that guy. Oh my God, this just happened. This is a real realization. Yeah. Can you please go to football before I have a connection?
Yes.
It's better waters for me in football.
Yeah. Speaking of superstars,
yes,
the New York Giants.
Oh boy,
have signed. Well, to be fair, this is who I wanted. If we were going to have a transitional quarterback, I didn't want the cancer that is Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you're going to draft Shedeur Sanders.
I do not. Please, no. Stop saying that. No, Jackson Dart. If we're going to take anybody this year, Jackson Dart.
Look at me in the eye. You are going to draft Shedeur Sanders.
No,
that's the most New York thing that could possibly happen.
It's like the Michael Scott meme. No.
Now, Ray, you got Winston. This seems like Ray, this is funny. Something has just appeared next to my desk. Ray, look! Wow, look at the Sami, our producer. I hope you can see this. Ray, look at this nice, beautiful double Philadelphia Inquirer championship framed newspapers that I have here. Ray, look, Ray, it's Nick Foles.
I have 4 in my lifetime.
Ray, look at what I got. 4. Ray, I can't hear you over the cheering I'm doing right now for the world.
I have 4 in my lifetime.
And you're like, yeah, but Ray, look at this. Look at these 2. Look at these 2. These are my
I see those 2.
I got Philadelphia Inquirer covers. Ray, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is come on, man. This is pretty cool.
That's great. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Right. Do you have one of these?
They last for a lifetime.
Do you have nothing you can say can hurt? We won. Yes. We are the world. That's nothing you can say. Hey, listen, I lived through both of your miracle runs. All right. You're going to live through mine now, Ray. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for giving me my moment. That's going up in our office.
I also do have all the newspapers from whenever the Yankees and Giants have won.
Not in a big frame you can show off on the show right now.
No, they're not.
That was the whole point. I only bought it for this moment. Okay, we can move these. Okay, come on, give me that. That was pretty cool.
Right. That's very nice. It's a very nice item.
Woo!
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. I mean, I'd like to thank the Academy. Oh no, we're not doing that anymore. You got 4. Yeah, I've got 2 recently.
Yes.
Hey, did you ever beat the Chiefs? Did you ever beat the Chiefs in the Super Bowl?
No, we beat the Bills, the Broncos, and the Patriots twice.
The Patriots and the Patriots. We beat the Patriots too.
Yes.
Right. And now you have Winston. And you're going to draft Shedeur Sanders.
Stop with that.
Pokey. It's going to happen.
I am so hopeful that Ward and Shedeur go 1-2, and then the Giants will have either Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter at 3.
I don't know
that we trade back and get a whole bunch of picks.
Right. Don't bring logic to your situation. This is
like,
New York. You're going to take Shedeur Sanders because
I'm the last logical New York fan in the world. Actually, that's not true.
Yeah, there's a few.
There's a few, but not many. But
do you want to see this poster again?
No.
Do you want? I didn't go into the explicit detail.
I saw enough.
Boy, all year, Ray. You're gonna deal with this shit.
Aaron Rodgers may go be a Viking now, which fulfilling the Brett Favre prophecy.
Yeah. Stupid. Why would you want him?
It's awful. I don't know. I mean, unless they really think JJ McCarthy's not ready after his knee injury last year, which is possible. But nobody wants the cancer that is Aaron Rodgers. Nobody wants washed up Russell Wilson. There were talks about Joe Flacco, but the thing is that people forget. And look, I'm not saying the Giants are going to – I'm saying the Giants are going to be more competitive next year with Jameis Winston under center than they were the last couple of years. Not saying we're going to win a bunch of games. Again, our ceiling, maybe 7 wins. Maybe 7-10. That's our ceiling. And that's if we draft well and that's if everything goes right. But at 31 years old, Jameis Winston – everywhere he's gone, everyone talks about how much they love him.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not a bad pickup at all.
He is a great culture guy. B, he can throw the deep ball. Now, he also throws a lot of interceptions. If he does what he did in Tampa and we have a 35 touchdown and a 35 interception year, I'll say this, we might not win a lot of games, but at least more so than we have in the last 2 years, the Giants will be fun to watch. And we might finally be able to see what the heck our receivers can do.
It's a massive improvement. And I think that you are in for a better season, not a playoff season.
Again, 7 wins. Ceiling is 7 wins.
I think early on we'll feel like you're flirting with a playoff spot. But
we might have a fast start. Yeah. But no, I'm being realistic. We're not a playoff team.
Not yet.
The Giants aren't a playoff. But this is a way, especially if you do take
Shedeur Sanders. Say it.
He can sit a year behind Jameis.
Hey, listen, I'm just going to say this real quick, buddy. The last time, and not the last time, the last time you guys drafted a name that was big coming out of college, you all did the same thing. Oh, God, I don't want Eli Manning. Who wants Eli Manning? And then it turned out that now you all love him because he beat the Patriots twice. So I don't think Shedeur Sanders is a bad pick for New York. And I think that he thrives on the hatred that you guys show him.
I worry about the circus that.
Yeah, but that's what you're built for.
Eli brought a circus, but Eli was good at just kind of like letting all the chaos, everybody else talk about it. He just kind of was the shit. I think Shedeur,
no, man, it's his dad that's going to
rebels in the circus.
Yeah,
I don't want Dion near us.
I'm going to say this to you, buddy. You're a New Yorker living in denial. New York is the only place that can happen successfully.
No, he's going to be a Raider. Send him to the Raiders.
It's not going to happen.
Or the Browns. Let him go rot in Cleveland.
With the 3rd pick in the 2025 NFL draft, the New York Giants select from Colorado Shedeur Sanders and his father.
Ward 1, Shedeur 2, and then the Giants will get the best pass rusher in the draft or the crazy, insane dual threat that is Travis Hunter.
You watch Shedeur get drafted second and go, I'm holding out for the Giants. I'm not going to play anywhere else.
No,
Shedeur.
It's not going to happen.
I hope you're ready, New York.
Jackson Dart.
You can't have a guy whose last name rhymes with smart on your team.
There's a lot of words that his name rhymes with.
Like what?
You know. Come on. Look, the papers will have a field day if he lays a fart, right?
Yep.
Dart the fart, no, for sure, we get it. Like,
Dart
it could
the
happen,
fart.
like,
it's like remember Last Action Hero, Leo the Fart?
Yeah. But here's
the
thing:
pass gas one more time.
Here's the thing: either we're getting a guy from Ole Miss, which is what our last quarterback was from, the big one, or we're gonna get a quarterback who, to your point, is gonna bring the circus.
Is Duke offering anything up in this year's draft? Oh my God! I don't think I've ever seen. I just want to close the book on Daniel Jones. I don't think I've ever seen
Indianapolis Colt Daniel Jones.
I don't think I've ever seen from the day someone was drafted through their entire career with one team that it was like so obvious the whole time that this was not a good idea. Usually the guy proves you wrong at some point.
Nope.
Nothing in that day. Oh, he made the playoffs. Nothing.
He had that 1 8-game stretch. We beat the Vikings, and then I said it. We can go back and look at the tapes. I said either give him a 2-year deal to see if he's for real and a lot of money in those 2 years, or if you want to give him a 3-year deal but less money. And what did the Giants do? They gave him a 4-year deal and all the money.
Stupid.
Morons! Everybody else in the world could see what problem this kid was, except the New York Giants.
He's not a problem. He's just not a great quarterback.
Well,
that's what I'm saying.
That's what I meant. He's not a bad person.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there was no evidence that he was going to be a superstar. I don't understand. I never understood that pick.
Again, everybody loves him. He seems like a really nice guy. I don't hate the person, but he is not sharp enough and never has been to be an NFL quarterback. He can't read the defense, and he can't make the deep throws.
The best.
Never has.
Tell me if you disagree with this. I'm going to make a bold statement here. The Eagles have drafted quarterbacks better than anyone else over the last 10 years. We drafted 2 quarterbacks that have won the Super Bowl.
Well, what's Foles a draft? What did you?
I'm not talking about Foles. Wentz is a Super Bowl champion, and we don't get to the. No. He is. I mean, he played most of the season. Like if we don't have him, we're not there. 100%.
That's fair,
right? So I'm just saying that, that's amazing that we've done that, and you guys draft. I laugh every time I say you guys drafted Daniel Jones out of Duke.
Again, you never.
Let's move on. Winston's better in every way.
I said it for a million times. The thing is, the Giants made this exact same mistake in the 90s with Dave Brown.
Yes,
does nobody else understand history? That if you do not know your history, you are doomed to repeat it.
Did you guys ever trade the greatest running back in history? Or let him go, I mean? Didn't trade him. That would have been even worse, though. Oh my God.
At least we would have got something if we traded him.
That's fair.
Which I said we should have traded him last year. And arguably, he's not the greatest running back of all time. At least not yet. Not yet.
You keep telling yourself that.
Not yet. He had one of the best seasons of all time. There's no denying that.
Do you want me to show you the newspapers?
There's not denying that. But
do you want to see the newspapers again?
To anoint him beyond Barry and beyond Emmett.
He's the greatest running back that has ever existed. No, you're 100% right. He had the greatest season probably of all time.
You could, yes, because he won the Super Bowl on top of the 2,000 yards rushing. You could say he had the greatest season. You could argue the greatest season.
I think that's an easy one. He could have also had broken that record if he really wanted to.
Yes.
So I think that is, yes, a top 2 all-time season. You're right. He's got a ways to go before he's all. I'm just being fun.
Right. Because for sure. Because again, that was the problem in New York, is that half the time he was hurt. If he stays healthy, no one's denying Saquon's talent.
I just can't stop looking at these newspaper things.
Moving on.
Makes me smile every time.
Happy that Jameis Winston's a Giant. On, by the way, a bargain contract, 2 years, $4 million a year.
That is a great deal. Yeah, he'll be good. He'll be a good guy.
I think he'll be very good for the Giants. And Tommy DeVito will back him up.
Yes.
It'll be chicken parm for everybody.
Yeah, and that agent who felt the need to go on the field every time to be seen. What a schmuck. Anyway, keep going. We're on to the Geeks section.
Yes, brief Geeks
Ray,
section.
low price for this deal you're about to talk about.
So Scopely, who of course specializes in mobile games, they do like Monopoly Go. You see all the commercials with Jason Momoa and whatnot on them. So Niantic did not buy all of Niantic. Niantic is still having their geolocation technology and their maps and whatnot. But their games division has been bought by Niantic for $3.5 billion. And of course, that includes Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
This is a big deal because now obviously Scopely is positioned themselves as one of the biggest mobile game developers now, probably in the world with this, just because of the acquisition of the Pokemon Go aspect.
Which needed some new blood anyway.
Yes. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Pokemon Go going forward. And I mean, it just, look, I still play Pokemon Go. Yeah, I mean, the Pokemon Go team, everybody, it also includes Pokemon Pikmin Bloom, Monster Hunter Now, whole bunch of other stuff in this, but that is a lot of money for just the gaming portfolio of Niantic. But again, those are some big licenses. Those are some big brands, of course, and none bigger than Pokemon. We saw it in Japan. We're bringing it around full circle with the show. We talked about it with Tokyo earlier, like Pokemon Go, tying with Major League Baseball. Pokemon Go is still massive, folks. It's not as big as it was, but it's still pretty damn big.
A lot of players, a lot of people. And again, 3.5 billion shows you the amount of money that's in that industry.
Still, yes, even with everybody losing their jobs. But it's a big deal. And it's a big deal to show that Scopely is, a big international mobile game company, that they're legit and they're establishing themselves as a mobile powerhouse. Because, again, mobile games, a big chunk of the industry still. Big chunk.
And growing.
Yes, ever growing, absolutely. So we're going to be talking about consoles and all that other stuff in the next couple of weeks. Again, April 2nd is the big Nintendo reveal for the Switch 2 in terms of the price, the games, the launch date. At least that's what we're expecting. And then Microsoft's going to be announcing some stuff shortly as well, as they're having. By the way, Microsoft having a terrific spring.
Yeah.
By the way, Sony's big thing, Microsoft games finally coming over to Sony. That's their big thing. Indiana Jones that was on Microsoft 4 months ago, finally coming over to PlayStation because, PlayStation needs games and they don't have any. So they're going to buy all the Microsoft ones. But yeah, it's a big time for games right now. This is a big deal. This is a big deal of the industry. So
yeah, it's a lot of money. So we'll see what they do.
A lot of money. 3.5 billion. With 3.5 million, I could retire. It's just million.
Could do with less than that. Yeah.
Probably, but I would be comfortable I would be very comfortable.
Yeah, whatever works, man. You get your tastes.
Yeah, things are expensive in LA. Okay, like food, and shelter. And I mean everything's burning down all the time, so you have to rebuild. You need money to rebuild all the time. Anyway, speaking of rebuilding, and speaking of the death of Hollywood, I saw a couple movies this week, Lee.
Yeah, tell me about. I could see him here on the rundown. I almost saw one. I wanted to see Mickey 17, and I was all prepared to do that at the theater, and then it went out of the theater the day I was going to go see it.
You saved yourself money because it was terrible.
You saw Mickey 17?
I saw Mickey 17. It was terrible.
Oh no, I'm sorry to hear that.
It was awful. It was one of the. It was. I mean, I'll add this to this. I saw 3 movies basically in the last 2 weeks. Mickey 17 was far and away the worst. Awful.
Really? Wow. I'm surprised to hear that. I like the premise of that show, but
it was a great premise. A friend of mine, I went with a friend. He read the book, and he's like, "It's nothing like the book. The book is so much better," which is often the case.
Yeah,
but they desperately added a political element to the movie, and then beat you over the head with it, and then also proceeded. They set up a whole bunch of different storylines, and then paid none of them off.
Oh no!
They paid none of them off. Just loose thread everywhere. Robert Pattinson was great in it, but that's about it. It was really, really awful. And by the way, Warner Brothers, I read, is going to lose $100 million on that. So, Warner Brothers morons. Again, you attach a bunch of big names. You actually need to make something good.
Right.
So, but the one thing that Warner Brothers tried to kill this week, that Warner Brothers tried to bury, that Warner Brothers is pulling out of the theater as fast as possible because Zaslav is like, no, people like this. Why would people? We can't have people see something that they enjoy. Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up, is phenomenal. It is old school animation. It is 91 minutes of pure joy injected into your veins. It's Porky Pig. It's Daffy Duck. Folks, if it's still in theaters near you, go see this film. I hated the fact that I had to support Warner Brothers, but I loved this movie, and I love the fact that it's done in old school animation. A lot of hand drawn stuff here. This is the way it should be, and it is. Folks, again, it is just beautifully done. Peter McNichol plays the bad guy. You've got Eric Bauza again as Porky Pig and Daffy Duck. The voice acting is tremendous, and it just feels like old school Looney Tunes in a way that I don't think you knew you might have needed. Like, as somebody who grew up on Merry Melodies and all this other stuff, this was just, and the fact that you can't get Looney Tunes on Max now, because again, Zaslav's like, we can't let people like our best IP. Oh no! Go see this movie. Support this film. It was phenomenal.
That's
it
great.
Really was. I just had so much, I felt like a kid again. I just had so much fun with it. And and it is one of those films that there's going to be a couple, if you could take your kids, they're not going to get all the jokes, but that's fine. They're still going to have a great time.
Well, maybe I'll do that.
See if you can see, I'm being serious. Literally, I went last week just because I saw it was leaving half the theaters across the country this last weekend. And I'm sure Zaslav's trying to pull it out even faster, because also in Looney Tunes news, it sounds like they're finally going to release Acme versus Wile E. Coyote.
Thank God.
Again, why are we going to give people what they want? Why are we going to give people characters that they love having fun? Why would we do that? We're Warner Brothers. Meanwhile, wearing a Mortal Kombat shirt. But I just think that which is a Warner Brothers brand. Now,
so we got.
But David says, I'm Zaslav the Butcher. People like stuff.
Zaslav the Butcher.
Oh my God.
He's a hatchet man.
That's what he is.
The Zaslav the Butcher. It sounds like someone would be in a Looney Tune.
No, exactly. It sounds like he's the bad guy in a Looney Tunes cartoon. Go, if you get a chance, folks, go see Looney Tunes The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's just a joy.
It's magical.
It really is. It's phenomenal. Seriously, you the whole family. Take the kids.
I'm taking you. I'm taking you up on it. And you saw Novocaine too.
Yes, something not for the kids.
No,
kids.
That one I know about. Yeah, this is the movie I almost saw this week.
That I will say this: I enjoyed it overall. I enjoyed it way more. I saw Love Hurts a few weeks ago. I feel like this was what Love Hurts was trying to be.
Right.
I felt there was a great dynamic between Jack Quaid and I can't remember the main actress's name. The romantic relationship, I felt there was great chemistry there. I felt there was a through line that you could follow the whole way through that was really phenomenal. I thought the gimmick of obviously Jack Quaid's character can't feel pain was actually a lot of fun. I will say there were 2 instances where I think they just went a little too far with it. And the gore it was just like, oh, okay, guys, we get the gimmick. We get the gimmick.
Yeah,
right?
Well, he's from The Boys, so that's just right on brand for him.
Right.
Because The Boys always goes too far.
Yes, and this definitely went a little too far.
Seriously, that you haven't seen The Boys. I'm wondering if you watch The Boys, if you'd still be saying this. Because
Maybe.
The Boys goes beyond far.
I'm curious then if you see this. I will say this: it was worth a watch. It was worth a watch. Even if you don't see it in theaters, it's definitely worth a watch on a streaming service at some point because it felt like a 90s action movie.
Sure.
I think it did a great job again with the through line. I think the action was well done. I thought the acting was solid. Again, it's not like, Martin Scorsese cinema, right? It's just popcorn. It's a good popcorn flick. Check your brain at the door. Have a good time. Solid film.
Right.
Solid. See Looney Tunes, then see Novocaine. Don't see Mickey 17.
Okay, I'm going to trust you on that because I mean, we'll talk about it off the air. I'm guessing it was just the story got bloated and stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The story was very bloated and stupid. And
I would take Looney Tunes over a lot of movies any day. So that's good news.
Yeah. No, go see Looney Tunes, which was again a joy, and Novocaine was surprisingly a lot of fun. Next on my movie list, I'm going to go see the Luckiest Man in America, which is about the 1984 Press Your Luck game show scandal. So that'll be like a drama, which I don't usually like, but I love game shows. So maybe
I'll tell you what, on the geek side of things, right? We got some Star Wars coming. Star Wars season is among us, right? Andor season 2 coming out, which trailer looks really good. We got Vader in the last trailer. We've got a lot of great things. The Death Star. So that's clearly coming full circle now to Rogue One, which is good because we know how it ends. I have a
Yes.
feeling the middle part's going to be really good now. All right. So we'll see what happens with that. And then in other geek stuff, there's always something coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Is that we're talking about gaming season is also upon us, right? We're gonna get a lot of announcements from Nintendo.
You also saw
next
Ted
week.
Lasso season 4 has been greenlit and is filming.
Yes, which sounds terrible, but we'll see.
That's good for me.
I mean, yes, you might enjoy. I've heard they've already started recasting some people, and like I just, sounds like this was. Can't something just end? Can it just end?
I was content with the ending of that show. I understand why they're doing it and where they're going to be going. You talk about Ted Lasso.
Money? They want money?
That's I think it's for Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
No, they left it open at the end of this series for where they're going. I can say that, and I think that it's Apple's top show in their loss leader that is Apple TV Plus.
Yeah.
But I mean, the show was a joy, man. People are calling for it, and I actually think they can capture that magic again with the direction they're going. We'll see.
I hope so. We'll see. Yeah, I never watched it. Again, I don't watch a ton of TV. I watch movies and video games.
Ted Lasso is one of the best shows that's come out in the last decade. I can say that firmly, and I'm not the only one saying that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I've heard great things.
It's okay. It's my job.
I'd rather rewatch like all 36 seasons of The Simpsons or something. So,
no, you wouldn't. But that's okay.
I don't know. We'll
no,
see.
You wouldn't.
not all 36 seasons, but a lot of them.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a lot there. That is a lot. Ha ha. Anyway,
for Lee, I'm Ray.
Wait, no, not the way it goes. No.
I've heard it so many times.
I know. You have heard it many, many times.
Hey, best of luck to you out there in Geek Sports Land.
We'll see. Yes, this was episode 69. Nice, of our second season. Nice. Anyway.
And the show, man. We got to go back to talking about Clam
We're
baseball.
back after a 1 week hiatus. We're back. Anyway, for Lee, I am Ray, and this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.
Ray, that glove and Clam, that's a clitoris.
Yeah. That's the joke. Yep.
Comment below.
It's a vagina and a clitoris. Yep.
That's a clit. God, I wish I could be in that marketing meeting when they did that.